So again, welcome. We have a really interesting Zoom call tonight. A number of really interesting presentations, and I've really been looking forward to hearing about them. And the folks that are presenting tonight have sent me a number of really interesting photos and slides, and it's going to be a real good session. So I'm not going to take too much time talking up front other than to introduce things. And then we'll try to get through what we have on the agenda. Anything that we don't miss, of course, will spill over to our next agenda in February. So let me start by doing a share screen.
And just while you're doing that, Mark, I'll mention to all of this group that we've had about 2 to 3 people start to follow our TNCC each week. And this past week on one day, somebody from Russia and somebody from Greece came in.
Nice. Wow. That's so cool.
Really kind of opens the door up to it's. In fact, there's more people from other countries on there that I don't know about totally, but it's really interesting to see that it's really affecting a lot of people big time.
Good. And that's on the YouTube channel, Murray?
Yeah, the YouTube channel.
Great. That's great.
They click on a request to follow, you know, they follow the
Yeah, well, if they ever contact you, Marie, give them my email address so that we can get them involved in these calls too, if they can.
Well, what we're trying to do, like you've already done on this slide here, put your Mark's email and John Paul's email. I try to do that on the signature at the end of the video too.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Let the translator.
So again, go ahead, Murray. I cut you off.
Let the Google do the translating for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Hopefully everybody sees this. If you don't see this this agenda, let me know because I've messed something up. So the discussion for tonight, we'll just open it very briefly up for any questions anybody might have from previous calls. A number of people sent me in a few slides on what's on their workbench right now, so we'll spend a few minutes going through some really nice carvings. John and I were looking at those together today, and we just were freaking out. Really good looking carvings. And so hopefully, you know, the work we're doing together as a group here, sharing ideas and providing each other's tips is helping us all improve our carving. Some really tremendous work's being done. I put some time over the last couple of weeks, well, during the last couple of weeks, I didn't spend a whole week on it, putting together a logo for the True North Caricature Carvers, and I'd like to talk about that and get your thoughts on its use. Mike Southon has introduced in the past the work that he and his club are doing on carousel horses, and he's sent a number of really nice photos on the miniature carousel horses he and his club members are doing, and is going to walk us through that process. And get ready to do a carousel horse because these are just beautiful pictures, and it's going to inspire you to try one. John Paul, last time we were together, was going to talk about a painting demonstration on Christmas ornaments, and we ran out of time. And so he's going to pick that up for us this time around and give us a little live demonstration on painting. Mike Hall has attended a number of Zoom tutorials hosted by Bob Hershey, who is a real well-known caricature carver out of the US. And Mike is going to talk about that experience and how far along he is on a project that Bob Hershey has put in front of that group. And then we'll probably pick it up in the next meeting as well to show us what the final result looks like. And then from there, we'll just talk about if anybody has any tips or tricks or techniques to share with the group. Okay, let me pause there. Any questions on the agenda for tonight or any comments in general? Okay, well, let's look at some of the projects on the bench, and I'll get the folks on the Zoom call tonight to talk to us about what they've done here. So Sue, why don't you start us off?
Oh, okay. These were just a couple of little pieces that I was working on. I mentioned on our last call that I've been trying some different finishing techniques and different things to try to move away from the more volatile things like boiled linseed oil and stuff like that. So, and I thought, okay, I want to get these 2 finished up before the end of the year so my paint table is completely empty. And so that's what I did here. The one on your left, the little guy with the green sweater on, my main purpose in doing that actually is I've been wanting to do one of the sweaters with sort of the Norwegian look to the sweater itself, but then I kind of chickened out at the end. I thought maybe I won't do it, and then I thought, okay, I'll just do a little bit of a design to see how it looks, but I'd like to do a full one the next time on the next piece I paint, just to see how they look. So that's just a small piece. He's just to give you some context, it's probably, I think, about 3.5 inches high, both of them are, and they're just basswood. And the other thing I was trying is some washes on the faces so that you can still see that they're wood. But I didn't want to paint them. So I kind of compromised on that one, on the two of them. And I took some of the Liquitex, the transparent burnt sienna and the transparent raw umber, and mixed them together and then just watered it down like crazy to get a complexion, but not, and still have some wood shine through, but not use like boiled linseed oil or whatever. So, and then the fellow on the right, he's finished off with that Terra Nova natural oil. I decided to give that a try, and I was pretty happy with the way that finish on that turned out. So,
Looks really good.
yeah, thank you.
I really like this mustache. Really,
Oh, thank you.
really like the way that mustache turned out. And a question, I really like this pattern here, and it looks like it's raised a bit. Is that just paint? What is that?
It's just paint. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I use is those little styluses that they use to paint decorative nails, like I guess in salons is where they normally came from. I got a package of them on Amazon for like next to nothing, all different sizes. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
nice. Really
Yeah,
nice.
thank you. Thank you.
Any questions for Sue?
One thing, Sue, I started to do, I think you were the one who referred to the kind of the liquid glaze thing you put over the eyes to make them look watery.
I think that was somebody else that said they were doing that. Yeah.
It really works well. It just makes the eye look like it's real.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, thanks, Sue.
I've used clear nail polish for the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And people have different ways of doing that too. Some people do the whole eye, and I've done that in the past. Some people just do the pupil with the gloss, and either way, it makes it look like the eyes are following you as you move around. So
Yeah.
really nice carvings.
There's a lot of different things you can do on the eyes. I took a course years ago on carving realistic animals, and at the end the instructor suggested that over this wolf's eye, where I had actually carved the eye, that I put Mod Podge on it, and I reluctantly did. I was a little worried about it because it comes out looking like milk, and within about an hour and a half I could not believe it. It looked like a glass eye. Yeah, it was really, yeah.
Alec, are you on the line? I don't see you on the. Oh, I guess Alec couldn't make it tonight, but he sent in a couple of carvings. The first one of Goofy, and my son Paul saw this, and that was the end of watching the rest of the slide presentation. So a really nice Goofy here. And this next one he sent in just will blow you away.
Oh.
Isn't that a beautiful carving? So the Happy New Year carving, and why not is on the bottle, and he's got it right down to the hats on the head. The faces are done very well as well. Like, look at the man's face, just a real top-notch carving. Nice looking stool.
Yeah.
Eric, do you want to say a few words about your carving? Okay, I guess Eric's not on the line here. I'm not looking at everybody's face at the same time that I'm going through the slides here. But again, another nice carving. Tough row to hoe. So the little farmer there, good looking face on that farmer. And good, good position of the body, all of the cabbages there in the row of veggies. Real nice carving. Curtis, I think you're with us here tonight.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. So this is just a Santa ornament I did last month before Christmas for a brother of mine. Gave him as a gift for his Christmas tree. So I follow Alex Joyner. He does wonderful Santa carvings, Santa ornaments, all kinds of stuff on Facebook and Instagram. So he does a lot of squinted eye Santa ornaments. So I just kind of looked at his ornament and tried to replicate as much as I can. So, he looks okay. I kind of liked how he turned out, this ornament. And, so that's the first one.
Yeah, I think it's a terrific ornament. I really like that squinted eye. That really, really sets it off, doesn't
Thank you. Yeah. The next one is just, this is again, I followed Dwayne Gosnell. He has a tutorial on Helvy Knives Facebook page where he goes through like an hour-long tutorial carving a cowboy out of a corner piece. So he goes through that, and I kind of followed his tutorial and tried to follow him as much as I can, and came up with this. I put some. I do have this carving here. So what I did was, in the end, I kind of put some magnets and made this into a fridge magnet. So it turned out okay. I was not too sure about the bandana. I tried to make it look interesting by, carving out the knot and all that stuff. I could have moved the knot a little bit up towards the shoulder, but it looks okay. I just kind of used a paintbrush to put those dots on the bandana to create some interest, and cut some grooves there just to give it a look. So
Yeah,
Good job. Really
I
nice
think it
job.
looks a lot better than okay. It's a really nice carving.
Right?
thank you.
Sorry, Sue, did you say something?
No, I just said it looks great. I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Curtis. Wayne, talk to us about this carving.
Well, this is the latest boy from down the shore here. I showed him, I think the last Zoom meeting, I hadn't painted him, but he was still unassembled. So anyway, I finished him up, and that's, what can I say? He's making that dreaded trip to the outhouse at night, and he's got to be cautious because there's a bear in the area, and he's just deciding whether it's really worth it or not. Anyway, had a lot of fun with this. I do a lot of my characters with I guess we'll call it a plaid shirt, because that's what most of the outdoorsy type guys wear, and that seems to sort of set them off there. The had to have a beer can in there just to prove that it was deer camp, actually.
Yeah.
And but that's typical of what I do. And,
It's really nice. The toilet roll. What is the toilet roll made of?
That's it. That's a toilet roll. That's all carved in one piece.
Yeah, and so you carved this part in wood?
Yeah, that's all one.
Wow.
All one piece. Yeah.
Very good.
The flashlight is two pieces. I whittle out what I think looks like a flashlight, cut it in half, and poke it.
Yeah.
Either way. But no, when I made that cutout, and I use that pattern a lot, I left extra wood on that side of that hand, and just kept carving until it looked like 3-ply stuff. So
yeah, that's good.
And
that's good.
One of the guys I still go on some other wood carving farms, and there's one really, really good carver on there. And he told me, or he didn't tell me, no, he was just telling everybody in general that details are great, and if you can do them, they're even greater. But all you have to do is sort of imply that that is a roll of toilet paper, and whoever's looking at it, their imagination fills in the blanks. And I believe in that. And
Mhm.
so anyway, it must have
Well,
worked.
yeah, you put a lot of detail into this one, and it really looks good. know,
Anyway,
the bar-
that's
the
a lot of
bark-
fun.
The bark on
I've got
the tree.
I've got another one on the go now, but this guy's a hockey player. But I've lost the motivation right now. I've been doing a lot of Doug Linker's stuff for
Yeah.
the gift shop for next summer. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to show you that, and then I'm going to shut up. So I don't know.
Oh, good.
Can you see him? I can't tell what's there because I still got that, but that's Doug Linker with a little bit of Smith thrown in it. So they're good sellers for the tourists when they show up there in the summer.
I'll bet. Yeah. Hey,
Anyway,
that's great. Thank
Yep.
you, Wayne. Any questions for Wayne? Okay, Bob, you want to say a few words about, you've got a couple carvings here. Maybe Bob's not with us tonight. So Bob sent in this one, little Christmas guy and an interesting little base that he created for him. And then a wood carver. So this little fellow's sitting on a stool, carving the likeness of maybe himself. It's carving the likeness of a cowboy. So a couple of nice carvings from Bob.
Yeah, great carving, that one.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's good.
This is a carving from Darren Merchant. Darren is a guy that follows us on YouTube. He lives in the UK, so the time zone prevents him from being part of our Zoom calls, although he'd really like to be. But he sent in this one, and a very popular TV show in the UK, and of course we know of it here in Canada, is Peaky Blinders. And so this is what his inspiration was for this particular bust. And he just did a tremendous job on this. I mean, this guy looks sinister. Looks like he had his nose broken a couple times, and just a terrific carving in my estimation. He's got a little gold chain working on it. He's going to go back and do a little bit more on the hat. He hasn't painted the hat yet, but he's going to put a couple of make 4 quadrants to make it look like seams on the top of the hat, and he's going to scoop out the hat a little bit to make it look like it's the cloth laying down on the head. But he's done just a tremendous job here.
Mhm.
Lee, are you on the Zoom call tonight?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
So
Oh.
this is my first carving of this year, and I figured it'd be a leprechaun for good luck. And then I have more that I'm carving for him. I carved out a pot to put some gold in, and I'm gonna make a bunch of little coins and stuff out of some 1/4-inch dowel. But this is all I got for now. So, but yeah, he's wearing a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, the hair is well done, Lee.
Oh, thank you. I didn't have the beard at first, so like where the sideburn is, it ended in the middle of the ear, and then I did some research on some leprechauns, and they don't have mustaches because it was illegal, and so I carried the beard down over the chin. Kind of looks like a Abraham leprechaun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just saying, one of my relatives is Abe Lincoln. He's just a younger version of the president
Yeah.
with his green underwear on.
Yeah.
Right. This is a really good carving, Lee. Really, really smart looking.
Mhm.
Wood burning. Yeah, the wood burning is really good, isn't it?
Yeah, that thing, the wood burning ups the level of the carving exponentially, I think. Like, so much extra to it.
Yeah. Really nice. Any other questions for Lee? Okay, Fred, are you on the Zoom call tonight? Okay, Fred sent in this one for us to take a look at. I love this carving. This is a great carving. right down to the bullet holes in the side of Snoopy's doghouse here. Not sure how the goggles were done, but it looks like there's some kind of epoxy and glitter or something in there. But again, another really nice carving. So John and I looked at these and we thought, holy moly, are we ever going to have a tough time our next virtual show? Because these are just terrific carvings so far. So congratulations to everybody. Really, really nice looking carvings. Okay. I wanted to talk to you a little about TNCC logo and thoughts on its use. So here's what I've developed. So this is a thing that I made on PowerPoint. That little beaver in the middle is, that's one of the carvings that I did for Canada Day on its 150th anniversary birthday. And then there was a program that you could go to that would take a photo and make it more cartoonish. And so that's why it looks the way it does. I think it turned out pretty nice. And so I put the compass headings on, a little bit of wood around the side of the border. True North Caricature Carvers, of course, it says. We're sponsored by the Ontario Wood Carvers Association. So I wanted to get the OWCA's name in there too, to promote, the work we're doing through these Zoom calls for the OWCA. What I would think of doing is order 3-inch vinyl stickers. And so the 3-inch would be the round portion. So it'd be 3 inches in diameter. I've seen a number of different suppliers. The one I'm most interested in right now will actually make the die cut for us. So it wouldn't come out on a square piece of paper and you peel it off. It would be a die cut round piece. You peel off the backing and you could put it on your toolboxes or your tool caddies that you take to your clubs or wherever you like to put it. It is a vinyl sticker. So I'll just pause there for a minute and just get your impression of the notion of making something like this for us. Is this something you guys would be interested in seeing?
It looks wonderful.
Looks great, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like it. I'd order some for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so,
Great, go ahead with it.
okay, I think what we'll do then is I'll probably order a couple hundred just because the price point is half decent. It's going to cost us something under $1 to make these things up each. So I'll order a couple hundred. I suspect what'll happen is, us folks and the ones that come to these Zoom calls on a regular basis, we'll probably buy 1 or 2. We have 85 plus people now on our distribution list that want to be aware of these Zoom calls, and a number of them are in other time zones, so they can't join us. And so I suspect some of those, maybe all of those, will want to buy 1 or 2. And then the other piece is, like as Murray was saying earlier, we do have a growing audience on YouTube, and even if we decide at some point our next YouTube video we put up, we mention this, maybe we'll have some other people contact us. I'm going to suggest $3 a sticker. Now, it's hard to come up with a price. I'd pay $3 for a sticker. I know that some of these vinyl stickers that you buy from some of the U.S. clubs and associations are up around $10. So I think $3 a sticker is reasonable, plus postage. So in Canada, it'd be about $1.25 extra. In the U.S., it'd be $1.75 and $3 internationally. So I'm going to suggest that. I've talked briefly a couple times with the treasurer of Ontario Wood Carvers Association, and she'd be willing to accept a mailed-in check, but also e-transfer. Now, there's some interesting things with e-transfer that we'll have to get our heads around, like a password and those kinds of things, but I think we can do that. The notion would be all of the funds would go into the Ontario Wood Carvers Association, and there'd be a separate account there for just the True North Caricature Carvers. We're doing that so that we don't have to incorporate as a True North Caricature Carver. We're under the umbrella of the Ontario Wood Carvers Association, and the treasurer would manage all of the monies coming in, and that would be in the tax returns and all the rest of it. what we would do is any profits we made, and we probably will make a couple of $100-$300, maybe slightly more. We'll use that kind of money to support our virtual shows. So in our virtual shows, we can start thinking about first, second, third awards that have merchandise and sending them by post. And hopefully, again, as people buy these stickers, and maybe it gets greater to be magnets for fridges and all the rest of it, maybe we make a few dollars and we can support our virtual show. To get us started off, because it's going to cost a couple $100 to get us started off, Murray has said he's willing, through the Ontario Wood Carvers Association and an exec, to support us with that $200 seed money. As we start making a bit of profit, I'd like to pay that seed money off back to the OWCA, and then any profit will be used just for ourselves here. Okay, so that's a lot to say. Any comments or questions?
Did you say that you've looked at places to order them from, or you've selected a place already?
I've looked locally at a few places. No one can die cut them for me. They can just provide it on a sheet, and then I'd have to cut it out and put it in an envelope. There are several sticker places in Ontario that manage this kind of thing. There's one in particular, I can't remember the name of it right now, but they're the cheapest. They do a very good job. It's die cut. And then they also have offerings around producing magnets for you, or if you want your emblem on a mug and these kinds of things. So depending where we go with this, what the interest level is, we might stay with that same organization and just expand.
The reason I ask is because I ordered stickers before for myself, and I just ordered a bunch of them, and I got them in just recently for the Outaouais Wood Carvers, and I ordered them from a company in the States called Sticker Mule. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I think that's the one that I ended up with.
Is that right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really good. And this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but here's a package of them that I just received. I don't know if you can see that.
Pull it in front of your face. Put it right in front of your face.
There you
Oh, nice.
And there's 60 in here, and it was $37, I think, and then free shipping to Canada. So, and I've used them before, and I had a couple of their stickers on one of my vehicles that I ended up trading in, but it had been on there for a long time, like probably 6 years or whatever. No fading, no lifting, and as you know,
Okay, that's good to hear.
in
Okay,
Canada,
well,
you can hit them with the scraper and they can start coming off, but very, very happy with their products. And every now and then they shoot out orders. Once you order once, they'll shoot out some offers to you to buy, like, if you want to try a promotional t-shirt to see what it looks like. So I just ordered one just recently on their last offer. It was $18, and that's shipping into Canada, the whole bit. And
okay.
they're pretty good quality stuff. I think you'll be really happy with it.
Okay, well, that's I'm glad to hear you say that, and that'll be the one we use. That's good.
Hey, Mark, I wanted to share something. So recently I ordered some stuff from US. I ordered from 2 different places, probably around $100 Canadian each. And the first time I received my stuff, I didn't have to pay any duty on it. After a couple of days, I got another package from another company, and then I received a Canada Post notice saying that I have to come pick it up from one of the Canada Post locations. So I went there to pick it up, and I had to pay like probably some $20-25 on it, and then plus there was a $10 handling fee from Canada Post. So there was a CBSA number listed on it, because I asked the Canada Post employee, what is this charge? And they said, well, we don't know. You should call the CBSA number. So I called CBSA number, and I asked them what these charges are. And I said that, look, I got another package delivered a few days earlier, and I didn't have to pay any taxes. So why am I being asked to pay taxes on this package? So the officer explained to me that anything above $20 if you order from US is subject to HST. But there are so many packages that come, so some of them get missed. So the ones that get missed don't get taxed. So that's why one of the package I received, I didn't get taxed on it. The other one I did. So
Okay.
just
Now,
just getting my experience.
this company, Sticker Mule, that Sulis also had some experience with, what they say on their website is they have a Canadian, I don't know, a Canadian facility. So
Okay.
it may not cross the border. I'm not sure, but that's a good tip, and I'll be wary of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
I've
Okay.
probably made about maybe 10, 12 orders through them, and I've never had to pay anything on it.
Okay. So there may
Yeah.
be a Canadian facility that does
Could
that.
be.
Okay, so I'll get on that then. Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, it looks good, really good.
Good, thank you. All right, Mike Southon is on the line, and I have a bunch of slides here on some really interesting work that he and his club are doing. So Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you. And I'll just warn everybody, everyone's going to want to make one of these carousel horses. Mike, are you there?
Sorry, I was muted and I forgot. Sorry about that. Hi, Mark. Hi,
How
gang.
you doing, Mike?
Yeah, there you go. You hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. So this is the Chippewa Park Carousel. I did have an article in the Ontario Wood Carver in winter 2021 explaining what our club has been doing. You can see along the top of those rounding boards, there's each panel or 16 panels. There's 2 dragons and some other stuff, mirrors all the way around. Turned out that as they got into this major restoration project on this carousel, everything on it that was wooden was pretty much destroyed. So the job became to recarve everything, copying everything historically accurately. So we've been doing that for several years now with the Thunder Bay Carvers. And that's involved about 30 members and roughly 300 pieces that have been carved. And so we pretty much have recarved everything. However, pardon me, I've got a problem with my throat here. Pardon me, we unfortunately did not get to do anything on the horses. There's some 28 horses on the carousel and 2 chariots. And when they got into doing the horses, they found out that everything was done with lead paint because this was built about 1919. And so to restore them and strip them down to start that process was a pretty serious environmental hazard, and they needed hazmat suits and a big professional shop and so on. So they had the horses redone, the ones that needed to be redone, which was probably more than half of them, by a professional. Each one now valued at approximately $20,000, by the way. And the reason for that is that this carousel is now one of only 3 left in the world. The Parker Company made various carousels, including permanent carousels. But this was meant to be a traveling carnival kind of carousel. And so it traveled and so on. And unfortunately for the owner in 1934, they ran out of money, went bankrupt, and sold the whole carousel for under $600 to the city of then Fort William. So it's remained in the city of Thunder Bay's possession since. So anyway, we carved all this stuff for it, and we have recently, I'll show you at the very last slide, our latest thing we've been working on. But it always was in my heart that, boy, I sure wish I had a chance to do something on those horses. And I thought, hey, you know what? Why don't we try to do miniature horses based on the original designs? So next slide, please. So you can see this is one of the horses that I've been working on. This is an artistic drawing done. The Carousel Committee, the city, hired an expert from Chicago to, Lisa Parr is her name, to make sure we were being historically accurate in doing everything and advising when it came after restoration of the horses, when it came to painting them, that they'd be accurately done. Fortunately, she was able to access the Parker archives, which had color plates for all the individual horses. But she carefully and meticulously did a drawing, and this is one side of this particular horse that is shown on the lower plastic pattern, which we ended up making, on the one side of the horse. But you can notice this is the very same horse. On the top picture, this is one of Lisa's pictures. The other side of Carousel horse is often different. The side that be facing the audience, as it were, is the romance side, and that side is different. So you need an image of both. So we actually have two color plates for every horse on the Carousel. So for us to be able to do these and try to do them exactly like the originals, but in miniature, we needed these drawings, which we started with, and a lot of us expanded them to 150% of the original drawings on just on photocopiers. So next slide. However, we realized that that really wasn't enough. So having those illustrations, which were good, but not necessarily perfect, if we wanted to copy the horses exactly, we needed to find out, after we had these volunteers that said, yes, I'll carve a horse. Now we're about a dozen of us. They would need photographs of the horses. So we got permission from the city to go out to the facility where they're stored. It's already been taken down. This was a traveling carousel, so it was put up and taken down every season. And after it became part of the city property, they continued to do that because it's an outdoor carousel and they didn't want the weather to wreck it. So every fall they take it in and next spring put it back out again. So anyway, so we started doing photographs of all of the horses and then sharing these images with the people carving. So we had to keep track of who was carving which horse and make sure we had lots and lots of images of every little part of every horse from every angle we could think of.
I can do it for you. Don't like
Next, someone needs to mute. Yeah,
Thank you.
next slide. Thank you. Okay, now this is one of our members, Jacques Lang, who's on the call.
so big.
Someone needs to get their kids quiet. Someone needs to mute. This is Jacques, and he's taken a lot of effort with this project. He's actually carving 3 of these horses himself, 3 different ones. And but he's taken a lot of time. He's very good technically, and so he's got all these images, and we can put them on flash drives and share them online and so on. So it's been important to get all the images to the individual carvers who have chosen individual horses. So next picture. So this is how we basically started. The block is about 12 inches long, roughly 6 to 8 inches high, depending on the design of the horse, and about 2 1/4 inches thick. These horses are around 22% of the size of the real horses. So when we use that 22%, mathematically, you can get parts pretty close to being 100% accurate. So we used a combination of the patterns, and then we did, as you can see, side cutouts. This one is horse 7B, which is my first horse. That's an inside row horse. It's got a flying mane, as you can see from that plastic template behind there. And in most cases, we had it in about 8 parts, including the pole that's going to go up the middle. Let's see. Okay, so you can see we bandsawed them out, scroll sawed the smaller pieces like the front and back feet. And of course, we were paying attention to grain direction. Pretty important to have that right so that things wouldn't break later because it gets pretty delicate in some parts. Next. Now here I am. This is the head of 7B, upside down in my vise, and you will recognize this hats on the head kind of approach, which I learned through True North. I just used a Laurentia pencil crayon, black, and scribbled all over the bottom. And then that's the method where you have it doweled, so it's going to stay centered. So this is to put the head and neck onto the body. I cut that along the line of the top of the chest strap of the horse. And so that would be the side where I would stick that head on there and then bang it with a mallet on the top. And then everything that transferred below, then you've seen that process before when you're putting hats on caricature heads. So that was another benefit from the True North bunch. Next. Here's one of our members, Jim's. His horse is a little different. It's kind of leaping forward. Most of these horses are very action oriented, the way they're designed. And so he's got, you see just the beginning there, it's the body's blocked, not showing his feet and so on, his tail. Head's there, it's running with the grain, going, it'd be from our left to right. There's his illustration of that side of the horse. And then one of the things I was suggesting to my group is, you see those fine lines on there? That is sort of the outside bulging kind of shape of each part, from the chest to the center of the leg to around the butt and so on and so forth and up toward the neck. And it helps keep things in place and kind of symmetrical. Next. Here's another one. This is Val's horse, a little further along. She's got a fair amount done on the head. She did a little different process, which I actually wish I had done. When you have the head going down like that, the grain on that head and neck is going up, of course, from say the nose up and from the neck upward. And that enables you really to do one piece. I kind of regret on the second horse I'm working on, I didn't do that. I went and cut it off, and I've been having more trouble getting that head turned because if you look in the upper illustration, that's a photograph of a real horse. And the horse's head is turned to the right in that case. And so that turning of the head thing reminds me of doing caricatures and turning the heads on the figures and so on. So that was that. And you notice here, because this was a carousel built in Leavenworth, Kansas, there's that American flag on there. So, okay, next. This is an interesting slide. This is one of Jacques' horses, his first one he's working on. And I wanted to highlight a very clever jig he's made, like a holder here. And he can be hands-free, have both hands on the tools and hold his horse in any position he wishes. He uses that a lot for doing these horses. He's doing a little different. He's using the original designs as done by Lisa Parr at that size, whereas the rest of us are doing 150% of that size. But he's going to tackle 3 horses, and he's on tonight if he wants to say anything at some point there. Next. Now, of course, we're suddenly jumping ahead a lot. We have a coordinator of the Carousel group as far as our club is concerned. His name is Terry Herdick. And Terry has been not to praise it, make a phrase here, a workhorse. He has already completed 3 carousel horses in a matter of a couple of months. It's quite amazing. And this is one of his horses. It still has a little more to do. That would be the non-romance side. And he's got it on just a temporary base. You notice we've had to drill the holes while through for the pole, which are 3/8 inch, before they were out of the block shape, because otherwise it's hard to keep it square and make sure that that pole is going to go through properly. So that's one of his 3 horses he's done. Next. This is another horse I wanted to show you, which is not a Chippewa Park horse. Rick Dowswell, who has been instrumental using his garage and everything for a lot of the work we've done on the real carousel, decided he has a book called Carving Carousel Carvings by H.L. Marlowe. And it mostly follows Denzel design horses. And so there was instructions on how to build your own carousel horse. And so he did this. And if you look really closely on this, there's actually 64 pieces in that horse. The horse is about the same size as the rest of ours. It's not a Chippewa carousel horse, but extremely detailed and amazingly complex to cut out properly. So everything was laminated and glued together. And as I say, a total of 64 pieces have gone into that. Very impressive work. However, he's already told us he ain't doing that again. He'll probably go to the 8 pieces that we used if he does another one. Now, this is a composite picture taken up at we have a second carving group out at a little village called Kekabeka, out of town there, and it's a senior center. And this is 3 of our horses, 2 of Terry's in the front. You see one is carved, not painted. The other one is painted, all on acrylics. And the one at the back is my horse 7B before it was painted. And that one again is just on a temporary base, just with a peg through the bottom to hold him in place, so I can sort of see how he's going to be positioned. And so, that one is just one where a few of us were getting them done. The next slide. This is Larry Salmon's horse, first of 2 horses. A couple of things to point out. The poles for a lot of the carousel miniatures you see are spiral gold poles. However, and some people have chosen to do that. Others of us are just copying what the Chippewa Park Carousel, they've got black poles. We've topped them with various balls on the top, but so we've just copied that. The reins are leather. And then there's something that doesn't show up too well on there, but on the next picture, this is my horse, first horse finished. So that's 7B. And you just see the silver horseshoes on the bottom. This was Larry's little brainchild. He said, let's make real horseshoes because the Chippewa Park have these horseshoes on the bottom. And if you see them, they're stamped. Look back at the previous one. Yes. So there's a real horse, carousel horse. And you see on the bottom, it says C.W. Parker, Leavenworth, KAN for Kansas. And it has 4, actually they've changed to Robertson screws wisely. And even the bottom of the hoof is carved. So every little thing that you see on there is something we tried to duplicate as we're making these horses. So if we look at, for example, the top part of the hoof, I'm sure I don't know the names of these parts of the horse, but you see there's a few little lines of texture there, you might say, I guess simulating hair hanging down at the back there. And there's a cleft in the foot at the bottom. All of those little details we tried to get in there by following first the pattern and second all the detailed pictures. Next. So now these are our attempt at reproducing the horses. Larry figured out an idea of how to make them out of aluminum. And you can actually cut them on a scroll saw. I was rather surprised to find. Well, you got to kind of hold them down really, really firmly. And then we used tiny nails that one of the other horse carvers did, or found rather. She found these tiny little tacks. And so the little nails are in the exact same place as they would be on the real horses. And then in these ones, I accidentally made the horseshoes too big, but then I realized, oh, they have cleats on them. So I just bent them back and it actually then fit the bottom of the shoes. So that was kind of fun. Now the next one, this is just a little bit of a close-up. One of the challenges on the real horses was a lot of the jewels that decorate the horses were missing over the many, many years. As I say, it's over 100 years old. And where were they going to get them? And our horse painter and the carousel painter, Linda Siskar, a super expert in carousels herself, club member and carousel committee member. She finally, she and others, I think they sourced them out of Germany to find the actual jewels. For us, however, of course, we weren't going to get professional jewels. And it turned out, if you can go to Michael's or even Dollarama, dollar store, they have cards full of these little tiny jewels. They're probably like plastic or whatever. And if you find enough of them, they're very cheap. You can get a whole sheet full for a couple of bucks. And then it's the idea of trying to match the size and color. We noticed on the Parker Carousel, most of the horses jewels matched the background color, whatever that background color was. So that's what we did. So these are inset. And then the other little detail there is there's a little we used a little piece of metal in the mouth. It's not shown here, but on the few sides before on the horse, we put a little bit in his mouth, and then there's a leather rein that's on there, because the horses at Chippewa have those as well. Finally, the last shot is our bigger of the two chariots. So this is back to the real carousel. This is bringing you up to date from the article I wrote for Ontario Wood Carver. Just last week, a team of the group got together and took our carvings that Linda had painted and screwed them through the chariots that we made. This is the bigger chariot. There's a smaller, very sort of a similar design chariot with the dragon that is a handicapped accessible chariot. So this is really essentially bench seating for riders that are not going on the horses. So that's our latest step. And the next part is going to be a big project. We're assisting the city workers. We're steam bending large ropes. You see a rope at the bottom of the chariot. That one's pretty easy because it's flat. Although those were hand carved too, well, lathe carved in that case. The other ones are really long, 9 feet or so, and they have to be bent to fit the rounding boards. So one of our members built a steamer, and we've got a massive project of attaching these to these 16 rounding boards across the top and screwing all of the carvings, the mirrors and dragons and all the rest of the stuff up there, the flowers and various things. So anyway, that's our continuing project with the Chippewa Carousel. So I'd invite any questions. That's it.
Mike, I think that's just absolutely incredible what you guys are doing. Like, these are a big piece of work, but you guys, these little miniature carousel horses are just fantastic. I've got to try one.
Oh, well, that'd be cool, Mark. I'll send you,
Yeah.
You have to just pick one and I'll send you all the information and patterns.
Okay, I'm definitely going to do that, Mike. Now,
Oh,
the one
cool.
question I'd have, just a quick
Yeah.
question. How was the dappling done on this? Was it done with paintbrush?
Yeah, that's paintbrush. It's a a poking process, you might say. I just acquired a set of Pat Godin brushes that one of the carvers had donated to the club, and still in the original package. And they're for doing exactly that, but it's more for doing it on birds, and because bird carving. And so you do a little, stippling kind of action, and it's very low bristle brush.
Okay.
And they're kind of rounded on the end.
Okay.
So, I don't know if this is what, I think this one was Larry's horse. And I don't know if Larry's on the call tonight, but anyway, and I also want to thank Larry. These bases you've been seeing, he's done a lot of the lathe work to get those bases. So these bases are all handmade. But then done on a lathe and so on. I luckily had some mahogany for mine, so that's my base, and he had some oak and so on. So that's been fun, and some use pine.
Yeah.
And
Well, kudos to everybody. I mean, that's really well done.
Well,
Any
that's
questions? Any questions
Beautiful
from the
work.
gang?
Beautiful work.
thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mike. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, John, we're going to stop screen sharing here, and it's over to you for a painting demonstration.
Okay, here we are. Okay, I'm going to paint a little lighthouse ornament. I always I did one earlier, and this one is just plain white colors and no shadows and no highlights. I just want to show you the difference by putting shadows and highlights. There's an example of shadows and highlights. Like the shadow under here and the highlights on top. It gives it more depth and more roundness. So I'll show you. I'll paint this one little guy up. There's a little handle I made to hold it so I don't hold it in my hand. So we're just going to always start by wetting my carving. So it's all wet. I wet it because of it allows me, it gives me extra time to paint. It stays wet and I can work on it a little bit longer. So I'm going to start out by using the white. Is it good there, Mark?
That looks really good, John.
Okay. It's very light because it's now that the carving is wet. It's very easily applied. And with the wood burning, that'll separate the different colors. Oops, I went over that one.
While John's doing that, I'll just mention to everybody as you're watching this, if it's not full screen on your the unit you're using, whether it's a computer or an iPad, just go up to the right-hand corner of your screen. There's something that says speaker view, and that'll just show John. You'll have to say something now, John.
Okay, yeah, we're just painting the white on here and getting this all, blocking it all in. I want to block all the colors in. So here's the white. And now that the white is here, I'm going to say that the shadow of this carving is on this side. I can put it on this side, whatever, but I want this, I'll use this side. The left-hand side would be the shadow side. So while it's wet, I'm going to take some shadow color, which is going to make a blue color. I'm going to use a blue. Get a little blue here. A lot of blue there. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue and put it on the left-hand side. Create a shadow on the side of the house here, on the entrance. Now with this being wet, see if I added too much color on there, I can take a wet brush, a clean brush, and just blend that edge on. So I got the white and a little bit of a shadow. If it's not dark enough, I add a little more. Now it's creating some depth. Now I'm going to do the red on the top. This is Peggy's Cove, lighthouse at Peggy's Cove in Nova Scotia here. I'm going to do the red top. And because it's wet, it just this nice flowing paint. And it won't go past because I put the wood burning on the transition part for the different colors. It won't go past that. So now, clean it off a little bit. I want to put a little bit of black in that red. I'm going to create a shadow side on this side. So the shadows on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I'll take a little bit of that red And a little bit of that white. And create a highlight side. A little more. I could put a big blob on there right now. If I don't like it, I can take a clean brush because it's wet. And just wipe that off. So that's the highlight side. Do some black right there. More black. I'm going to paint in the black lights or the windows. And follow right along there. It's a good technique, and I find that I get some depth in it. This is only like 5/8 of an inch thick. I can get some good depth in it. Like some of these carvings are only 5 inches or 5/8 thick, but it looks pretty thick, like very three-dimensional. Filling in these windows. On the for the windows, I'm going to take a little bit of that blue. The sun would hit. Oh, a smaller brush. The highlight would hit on this side of the brush, or this side of the window, the left-hand side of the window. So I just draw a little line here. Sounds like I'm mixing a drink. Put my brush in there. Like I said, if it, but I think it's too thick, I just take a wet brush and blend that in. It's already still wet. And then I'll do the base. I'll block that in black, the shadow color. A little bit more black here. I use this technique for all my painting, my carvings, and get some good color variations in it. Now I got the shadow color in. I can take a little bit of that white, make it gray. And dry out, do like a dry brush over the rocks. A little more. I can take some of that blue, do a little dry brushing on that. On the bottom. Get a little mess on the white here. Let me fix this. More as it dries a little bit, I want to add a little more white to that on the rocks. More of a highlight at the top, maybe. A dry brush. Like I said, then always when you do reflection, there would be water underneath the lighthouse here. So the reflective color is the water. So you always put a blue. Say if your person or animals in the grass, the reflective color is green. So on the bottom of your pants or shoes is the color it's attached to. So always put the reflective color of the water at the bottom. Clean this up a little bit. Anyway, this is what I do. This is how I do my.
Nice demonstration, John. That really looks good. I really like the rocks, how you made those rocks come to life. That's really nice.
So look, I did a little quick mess there. Like you just take your time. I could have done a little bit better job here, but there's quite a difference. The flat compared to more reflection and shadows. So that's how I like to do it, and that's how I like to paint.
Beautiful job.
I
Questions
could
for
add
John?
I could add some browns and stuff in there too,
Yeah.
the rocks. But that's basically what I do, how I do it.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the group?
Here's a sunset of a ornament. Same idea with I start with the yellow, wet, it's all wet, and I blend that yellow into a red or an orange, then a red, then a blue that turns into purple. So that really shows that wet and blending in. You could take the red and take a wet brush and blends that right in. Another sunrise with a little puffin. Same idea, yellow, orange, red, and then blue, and turns into purple. You know, just blends that all in. Same technique.
Nice work, John.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Good job.
Any questions?
Do you varathane your wood before you wet it?
No, I do not. Nope.
Okay.
No,
Thank
just
you.
straight on, straight basswood.
Yeah.
What does the water help you with? Like, why put the water on first? I didn't understand that part.
It just lengthens the time of being wet, and so that I can blend the colors. So if this was dry, I wouldn't be able to blend that in. I'd have to wet. If I had put that blue line on there to make the shadow and the highlight, I'd have to wet that edge to blend that around. So it's already wet, so it extends the time to paint it.
So if you didn't finish the carving in one day, would you re-wet it the second day?
I never tried it that way. It only takes a few minutes to paint it, but but I do all my carvings that way. This with the wet on wet technique, especially when I'm blending colors, like in the shadows here, shadows there, it gives it roundness and depth.
Okay.
I think, Tom, if you were doing more substantial carving, you'd have to just use a wash rather than John's wetting process. I think if you wetted the paint that's already on your carving, you'd be disappointed that starts to come off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, do you do it on your caricature as well?
Yeah, I do them all, everything like that.
Okay.
And see, like with the cheeks, the snowman, I put a little dot of paint on there, and I take a clean brush, wet, and I can go right around like that, and it blends that cheeks in there, or the cheeks of the carving or whatever. I don't have one handy. Oh yeah, there's one handy. Like his face. I take a little bit of dot of that because it's wet. Put a little bit of red on there. I wet that around with a clean brush, and it blends the cheeks and the nose. And so this is the same thing. All the shadows are in here. The highlights are yellow on the green.
Okay, thanks again,
You put
John.
on when you're,
Sorry, there was another
Pardon me?
question. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna ask what finish you put on when you're done.
I use the Howard's feed and wax or a varnish. These are all sprayed with a flat varnish.
Nice.
Min wax. Let me see.
Okay, any other questions for John? Okay, thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go back to our work here. Mike Hall's with us on the line. Mike, we probably have about 15 minutes or so. Is that going to be enough time for you?
Should work.
Okay, so Mike has been involved with the Bob Hershey tutorial, and he's going to talk about that for us.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'm a relatively new carver, so I first ran into Bob Hershey over the Zoom calls through the Lancaster County Wood Carvers. And one of the things I've been hearing from other people is that if you want to get better at your carving, you should consider taking a course. And then the Lancaster Wood Carvers put out a magazine or a little newsletter, and in there was an advertisement for Bob's latest carving, which was going to happen in December, which was Rocky the Raccoon on that. And for those who maybe got a chance to see one of those Zoom meetings, I've put the information there on this slide here. It's they've changed the dates. It's the second Tuesday of the month instead of the first, and that's the number there for the meeting if you wanted to jump in and participate. It's very much like what you folks do here, and it's quite enjoyable. And I've been following them since about a year now, year and a half, since COVID sort of forced us all into the dark here. on that. So anyway, I signed up for the course he's offering. And can you find that one for me? The next one there, Mark? That's it. So this is Rocky the raccoon. And the reason I got interested in this is my daughter has a dog that looks almost exactly like this thing. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a good Christmas gift. And now I've only been carving for a couple of years. And I thought maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew here or carve. So I emailed Bob and I asked him, I said, do you think this is something that's doable for me? And he says, oh, he says, you know, everyone learns differently from these courses. So he says, even I learn from the students. So I thought, okay, well, I'll take a swing at it. And I signed up for it. And it was a course over 2 weekends in December. And it was a Saturday, Sunday each time. And it was 2 hours each day. And at the end of that time frame, you should have had Rocky all carved out here. And that. Can you go to the next slide there? So I bought 2 rough outs instead of 1, because I was going to give one to my daughter as the one on the right is the one I'm currently working on, and the other one is one I'll do later when I get a chance to finish it. But it was going to be a carving of Phil, her dog. So the carving is about 7 inches tall and 4 inches square. And so it's a decent size. And Bob starts off, you know, like he starts out by roughing out the outlines and bringing out certain details. And he'll jump in and he uses a gouge more than most people would use a knife. He had a 16-3 V gouge that he really used quite a bit to detail the outlines. Go to the next one. There you go. So my carving is on the left and the actual rough out is on the right there. But during the state of the course, you're thinking, okay, so how's this going to go? I've never done one of these before. Do I just sit back and watch Bob do his thing here, and then later on go back and try and do the carving for what was covered that day? And the nice thing is Bob, he records the carving for that class, and then he posts it onto a YouTube account that he has. And so you can go back and you can watch the areas and then sort of work your way around your carving and see how you do that way. So I did that, and I got pretty good at it, but he moves ahead pretty quick on me. And you can see on the right hand side there, the front of the yep, right in there. That didn't get quite as done as I had hoped, because Christmas and a snowstorm here in Ontario sort of really messed a lot of us up here. So I'm a bit of a slow carver, but I'm working my way around to the front of it. But it's interesting to watch him carve. And so for me, I think part of the process was after the first week or after the first weekend, I had probably 50% of it done. But the next 2, I really just sat back and watched, because he was covering certain details that I really wanted to see on that. And from there.
Now, Mike, I'll just interrupt for a minute.
Sure.
So you had mentioned he puts it on YouTube so you can follow it later, but that would only be appropriate to the people who had signed up to the course. Like I couldn't go in if I hadn't signed up for the course. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And even those of us that signed up for the course, those carving videos are only available for 2 weeks after the final lesson. So our lesson ended around the middle of December, and we lost access at the start of January for that. So, you know, I've certainly got the information I needed for what I have to do to finish on that. So I'm not worried that way. But it is something to contend with when you do these Zoom calls is, you know, where should I be? Should I be worried about trying to keep up with the instructor and keep carving, or do my best to carve what I need to get done for the next day or the next class? So that was a bit of a devil for me. Now the thing is Bob, he likes to use gouges and the 16.3 at the bottom there that he's got, he really uses that quite effectively. It's almost better for him than a knife. He says he really is not a very good knife guy, and he uses that to profile all the lines, and to watch him push that gouge through the rough out and get the lines in would take me forever with a knife, because I'd have to be doing both sides and then taking the chunk out. He just scoops in there and away he goes, and it is really quite amazing to see. So that's one of the things you sort of pick up is how other people use different tools to get to where they want to be here. Now, let me just see where we are there in the picture. The back, yeah, go back one, Mark. So the back of the coat there was interesting, because I had sort of been picking at this thing, and then Bob got in there and he says, you know, we really got to look at the flow of the material on the back of the coat, and how he uses gouges to get the lines he likes to have in there for movement in the coat. And so after I got messing around with mine, I actually went back over mine and I redid the back, and I liked it much better. So that was good to see that that had that effect on the carving. All right, what's the next one there? I can't see here from. Oh yeah, go down one more, Mark. There you go. So he uses, you can see the 16.3 at the bottom there is it's a 35-degree bevel to that gouge, and he'll start out on the tail that you can see above the gouge there. He'll scoop it out like that with a regular gouge, and then he goes in and he adds more lines and more depth to the carving, and then eventually he gets his wood burner out, and the wood burner he goes over and he really starts accentuating the depth of the cuts in the carving with his wood burner, which was interesting to see. You can see on the face there's quite a bit of detail he's done just with the wood burner for doing the fur on the face and getting the lines the way he wants them. He says, I always try and follow the flow of the fur. I never cross a line with the wood burner, because you'll get this cross line that just doesn't look natural. So all the hairs are right in place where they need to be on that. And he also does something a bit different. He burnishes the eyes with a piece of steel, and basically after he's carved the eyeball out, he goes over it with the back of a gouge, and he rubs on the wood until it actually has a bit of a shine to it, and that shine makes the paint that's applied to it look even glossier on that. All right, and yep. So there's just an idea as to how much, this isn't my carving, this is one of the classmates. But he said he had about 3 hours worth of wood burning on this project to do. So there's quite a bit to get just the fur the way you like it on here. And the next one. And so here's my carving on the left, and here's Bob's on the right, and you can see the texture in the fur on the feet and on the tail that he's achieved by just doing it with the wood burner. So it was really interesting to see. He was burning quite viciously. He says it's one of his friends says he burns out of 10 because he doesn't have a 12 on the machine. But he says there's quite a bit of smoke coming off them. But then he takes it and he wire brushes the fur, and that gets rid of any of the burnt material that as a result of the wood burning on that. So for me, the real thing that was kind of important was being able to see what Bob was doing. So the videos that you get a chance to look at, it's nice to see up close and get as close as you can to the areas that he's carving. He did supply pictures, but only only a printed picture. I managed to get some digital pictures off of his website, which were really, really helpful. And I think that's kind of important for people who are carving off of Zoom classes, because this seems to be the way they're going now with the advent of what COVID has done to us. And he says he likes to carve and teach via Zoom because he doesn't have to travel and it's easier on him. And he says the students seem to like it.
So you clearly have a pretty good camera because he takes a look at what you're doing as you're moving along.
You can't. So the other thing that Bob does is he also has a Facebook page for the students to log into. And only the students can log into that. But once you're a member of that, once you've taken one of his classes, you can log in anytime you like. You're not restricted after the 2 weeks. And so that was kind of nice, because what you see there is people who are taking the course are posting their raccoons to it.
So as you're carving then, Mike, Bob is not necessarily seeing what you're doing.
No, he's not watching us.
Okay.
He's chatting away and more or less. Now we can always stop and ask a question, and he's very good at answering questions that way. And he'll show you if someone asks a certain question that he thinks might warrant a different technique, he'll go and cover that technique on another piece of wood. If you're curious as to how a different knife works or a gouge works. But yeah, it was interesting. I would, after doing the one course, I would probably take another one of his courses on that. The courses are in US dollars, so it's $125 for the course, and that includes the rough out. So I thought it was worth it. And I think I picked up a few things that I like about, working from, I've never done a rough out, so that's a new one on me. On that.
That's really good, Mike. Any questions for Mike?
I have a question concerning the ribbon.
Oh, so here's the deal. It was the raccoon and not the stand. He says, we'll talk about the stand, but we're not carving the stand. And actually Bob said the ribbon was a bit of a stinker to do. Because I think he said this was the stand was made out of butternut.
Looks like
not basswood.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and ask your question. Maybe I might be able to answer it, because we did talk about it.
I just wondered, like, how many pieces of wood is it? Did it start off as one piece of wood, or is the loop and the ribbon glued on?
No, it's one piece of wood, and the raccoon is separate from the stand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it just sits on top of there. Yeah.
Very good, Mike. Thank you very much for that. That was a real good review.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, I got a question for Mike too, please.
Oh.
You mentioned the Lancaster County Wood Carver Zoom meetings, and I watched the last one there.
Oh, yeah.
First Tuesday of the month or second Tuesdays of the month?
Well, they said they were having trouble getting people to show up for the first Tuesday, so they've changed it to the second Tuesday now.
Second Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that information from Bob K there down in Maryland, and
Oh, yeah.
and there was a little mix up there anyway. So it's the second Tuesday.
Second, yeah. So it used to be the first,
Yeah.
but it's the second Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, no problem.
I think, Mike, at some point, we're going to want to, as a group, do a project together. And so we'll probably pick your brain a little bit more in the future around what you liked about the way Bob's Zoom went and what could be improved. And we'll try to dial that into our thoughts so we can do a project as a group, right?
Yeah, even Bob's, though, you watch Doug Linker's videos online, they're beautiful. They're 1080p, great detail, positions the camera beautifully. If he's focusing on a technique or an area of the carving, you see it. And some of the other guys, they struggled with it. And Bob admits that he the technical part of it is not his forte. He likes to carve animals and caricature things like the frogs and goats and things. But he says he really struggles with the video part of it. And I think if you're doing something via Zoom, the video is critical to getting the message across as to what you're doing on that carving for the student.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, we're going to give that a try at some point. So we'll pick your brain a little bit more on that.
All right, very good. Thanks
Okay,
very
guys,
much.
I think we've pretty much run out of time. 3 really great segments to tonight's Zoom call. So thanks to both Mike and both the Mikes and John Paul. Really good job. I really enjoyed all of that.
Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
we'll get together in a month from now, and hopefully I'll have made those hopefully I'll have those vinyl stickers in place. I'll send you guys out an email and just get a final on how to pay for it through the OWCA treasurer Ann Engelhart. So look for that email and place your order in, and we'll all have a sticker or 2. Thanks very much for joining us, and
Thanks, Mark.
have a lot of fun carving until next time we meet.